And you mentioned earlier on, Infamous hadn't really been paying too much attention to Papa Tudi's hero pool. Now, they may be ever so slightly regretting that, as the Invoker might need a little bit of time to build up that damage. We do always sort of mention that the Invoker, very much just sort of Quaswex oriented. Very rarely do we see the Exort focused on uh, earlier in the match. That damage comes later on once he picks up the levels. But it gives D2 Hustlers a hell of a lot more in the way of control, and once that damage does start to come online, that is going to be when you can start throwing more and more into that Chronosphere. So you're sort of maybe looking towards some of the other positions, like 1437's hero, in terms of what they could throw into that Chrono, but the Invoker is going to be there as a nice sort of follow-up play mid to late game stage. So something to keep an eye on. Papa Tutti very much aware of the limits of his hero and just how much of a contribution that he can have once he builds up that strength. Meanwhile, for Infamous, the Templar Assassin going to come out for them. So it looks like they're just going to basically try and put Parker on that hero once again. Last time we saw Parker on this TA, he basically ran the other side out of the server. I think he had 24, 25 kills and just the one death. So it's terrifying in his hands, and Infamous feel like this is a good situation to deploy it against their opponents.
If I remember correctly, he was like 23, 1, and 18. He built a Hex. He just was absolutely working Ego Boys. It really felt like after his only death, there was really no chance killing him. They had like a 14 or 15-minute Roche into a 22 or 23-minute second Roche. The game was just felt like it was over. And one of the best heroes to pick up versus this Invoker, we've seen, especially with Papa Tutti, you get that BKB a little bit later. Hopefully he'll go for that Solar Crest build where he might have a little bit more armor to work with, but I'm guessing he's going to go for that Spirit Vessel instead, so we'll have to see what he ends up going for. And something that I am a little bit worried about is we see Papa Tutti time and time again want this Invoker, but not really farming, not really keeping up to that degree where you might need 1437 on a little bit of a greedier hero. You might need Divine Llama on a hero that's able to take that farm away from him, because he just doesn't like it. He doesn't like to play that way with Invoker. He likes to get out on the map. He likes to gank Yuma's lane, and this is definitely a game where that is completely enabled by his hero. And with the Batrider pickup, it does counter pretty much all of the heroes on the Infamous Gaming side. It plays really well versus Timbersaw, Tiny, and TA. Not the best versus Puck, just because you don't have necessarily that guaranteed lockdown, especially if you're able to get the Waning Rift off, unless you get BKB or Octarine Core. It's pretty hard to ever lasso that Puck, but it's a hero that's going to be able to gank pretty much all of the lanes. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is if that is Levi Llama's hero. Batrider a lot less proven in those side lanes, even if it does feel pretty good and you will get that Batrider versus TA matchup, it's just not as good as a side laner anymore.
Right. That doesn't really seem like there's much of an alternative at that point, considering the Invoker's already in the lineup. So we'll see what the plan is for that bat, but theoretically speaking, it does still have quite a bit of potential to work with here. As we move into the final phase of the bans, D2 Hustlers going to focus in on heroes that ruin the Batrider's initiation. The Abba as well as the Oracle both going to be taken away. Meanwhile, for Infamous, they're keying in on that final support position as well. They take away both Clockwork and Earthshaker. So they seem to be buying into this Batrider as the third core for the D2 Hustlers side, regardless of what lane it would end up in. So, what is the call? Oh, okay.
Dead. You 13 mana boy.
DK for
That
D2
is-
Hustlers.
That is different. So this is going to, what I can only imagine is going to be a 5 Batrider, an offlane DK, and a 4 Snapfire. Nothing else really makes sense to me. And of course, we've seen this DK be proven pretty well versus the Puck and the TA, of course, for the Dragon Tail stun, being able to always have that threat out on the map, and then the DK form being very effective versus those refraction charges, already being a very high armor hero, so not really getting bursted out from the TA, and then eventually being able to get that Ag Shard, make it even harder. But you really have sort of jumbled all of your heroes around, so I can only hope that they really play well in these lanes. You need those individual performances to, I think, kind of carry your draft at this point. Whoa. Because this is abnormal, and that is way abnormal. I remember seeing a Reddit thread the other day about Silencer being the, I think, third least picked hero in all of DPC with a, I think, 66% win rate out of 3 games, but that is going to be A's hero pick as well. Going to put, yeah, KXY on the puck. This is, I guess both teams really kind of balling out here. This is a strange one.
Yeah, not a whole lot that we're familiar with there on the back end of the draft, at least. DK, oh wait, hold up. DK is actually going to be played by
It
1437.
is going to be offlane, so it's going to be a 4 DK. So,
Right.
okay. It makes a little bit more sense, right? Because you did want that Batrider versus the TA lane, but I also feel like they're sort of forcing their hand for no reason here. I really liked their draft kind of up until the Batrider, but now it's a little bit wonky having this 4 DK. And you pick DK into Timbersaw, so if he doesn't have a very good time or he doesn't find a lane to farm in, then Mariano is really going to feed on you. He's really going to look to kill you in every situation he can. At the same time, you have that tiny 4 now. Everything's sort of slotting into place. Infamous, I think, have a little bit more of a well-rounded lineup so far.
Yeah, I felt like D2 Hustlers in the first half were looking pretty good, and then, I mean, we'll still have to wait and see. Don't want to be too judgmental, but really kind of feels like they maybe sapped away a little bit of their own strength on the back end of the draft. So we'll see, but a position 4 DK, pretty big question mark. Batrider in the side lane, also something that we are not really used to seeing anymore. I mean, back in the day, sure, the Batrider was sort of originally that position 3 offlane hero, but times have certainly changed, and putting him in that offlane role is not nearly as popular or viable, for that matter, as it used to be. So we'll see how it works out here, but it feels like Infamous have really just kept it a bit simpler than their opponents, and we'll see how things play out here as we are looking for some early movement here. KXY is going to be just sort of zipping out with the orb, looking for that Obs Ward. Is he going to get it down in that spot we saw the other day? Yes.
Yep.
Okay, he actually doesn't have to cut a tree for that. We were wondering that the first time we saw it. That's just a straight-up placement.
Yeah, and Infamous the only one that really does this, and I like it a lot, even though it does feel a little bit wasted just because we usually saw them place this ward when you did have that Tiny or that Mirana, a hero that could very easily make the rotation onto KXY. The DK, while you still are able
Michael,
to gank...
he's spotted the whole way, though.
Yeah.
That Obs Ward up on the cliff spots him out. This is not going to work for him, eh? Okay, yeah, why not? Get in there, get a little damage with the Arcane Curse. Why not? You connect onto about 4, but level 1 Arcane Curse, not going to do any significant damage, and it doesn't save Michael, so
I'm dead.
that's a nice ward from D2 Hustlers. It's really even just a sort of standard spot. Kind of weird that Michael didn't quite check for that before he just walks up the ramp, but he does make the move, and D2 Hustlers make him pay.
Yeah, and like you said, pretty common, pretty easy to tell what's going on there. And it looks like...
A?
Yeah, he's dead.
Okay. Not sure what the plan was on that one. He will be taken down. He doesn't even manage to deny or snag the bounty, so D2 Hustlers just get another one almost for free, really. I mean, the Silencer, you've got less than 600 HP. You can't really just walk out into the river like that, but I think maybe he didn't realize 1437 was coming at him with the stun, but by the time he figures it out, he's already gone.
And with the way that the lanes are shaping up, we already see the movement. I don't think they're really making the double call here on D2 Hustlers, but they were trying to dodge out that Silencer lane and trying to get the Batrider versus the Timbersaw, but very simply, supports just hold the waves, everybody makes the long walk, and Infamous have made this decision early enough on that there isn't going to be really that easy punishment. And 1437 with the Dragon Tail does need to be a little bit careful, does not have the best hero level 1, even though he does have that 2.5 second stun. And now it's going to be Parker really getting the lane that he sort of wanted, having that stick up already.
Yeah, TA versus Bat, going to be a bit of an interesting one. Meanwhile, Michael actually did TP himself back down bot. I was wondering how long they were going to sort of keep all three there. Michael was just sort of holding down the lane until the lane swap could complete, but once everyone's in their proper positions, he just makes his way down bot to help out Mariano here. So Timbersaw doesn't really have a whole lot to be worried about in this lane. Yuma can't really do anything to him. Maybe if Pandago lands some sort of cookie play, they could try for it, but you would assume by the time they actually go for that play, Mariano's going to have a point or two in the reactive armor. So not really sure that there's a whole lot he has to be worried about. He's just going to sit here and farm, and the same game plan is going to be in play for Yuma on that Faceless Void.
And really the big win for Infamous is just getting the Silencer versus the Batrider. And Batrider, again, already sort of questionable in those side lane positions, but now you're going to be giving the Silencer even more mana. As soon as you get those 4 or 5 stacks up, you're going to be able to pop that Arcane Curse, and then Divine Llama has to make the decision, am I going to eat another maybe 100 damage just because I want to cast my spell? No, probably not. So it does make things a little bit more complicated for this Batrider. And we do see Radiant TA again, the faster TA arguably, so he's going to be pretty happy with whatever farming pattern he's able to get.
Mariano said he was going to be okay in this lane, but that is a nice bit of damage that he takes there. Pandago sort of canceling out that level 1 reactive with the Shredder, but they don't quite have the damage to bring him down, and Mariano, at this point, he should be good to go, but that was a little bit more threatening than I thought it really was going to be for him. So this Timber not quite safe just yet. He's going to have to get maybe another level or 2 before he's going to be feeling fully comfortable.
And really, it was that one pull that I think he took a little bit too much damage. And top, they just ended up diving in. I think he got a little bit too far forward on the TA. You see the creep wave is already under the tower, so hard punished Parker in the top lane, and D2 Hustlers are finding a little bit of the little early kills here.
Yeah, a situation where wasn't really sure they were going to be able to make these plays, but 1437, I mean, just kind of showing us what we know. We were sort of trash-talking this DK in a support role a little while back, but his team's got 3 kills. He's been involved in every single one of them. So in terms of the long-term impact, that still remains to be seen. But early on in the lanes, he is sort of putting his stamp on this top lane. So fair enough. Full credit to him for that.
Yeah, and wait, oh, Parker TP'd bottom, so I wonder if they're going to end up keeping these lanes or what the big idea is, because now Mariano is choosing to lane versus the Batrider.
Seems a little questionable. And immediately,
Mariano,
they're going to get punished for this. Here comes Divine Llama, 1437 coming in as well. They're looking for that stun. Mariano is timber chaining his way across, though, and I think he's okay now. Divine Llama, you might want to be a little bit careful here. A is pushing it onto him, but that may have been a mistake. Silencer, again, you are not tanky. Same sort of scenario that happened to him in the river there, too far forward, and I mean, he's still only got 600 HP. If you get anywhere close to enemy heroes, you're just going to get completely annihilated, and he does get Mariano to safety. That is going to be sort of the silver lining of that play, but that is a 4th kill now for D2 Hustlers.
And really, I think the Silencer not being as confident. This is the last pick. This was their sort of ace in the hole, and 7 stacks on Mariano.
Oh, God.
He pops the Firefly.
A lot of damage. A's back in, though.
Careful here.
Throws down the curse, so I don't think Divine Llama is going to push any further forward, but you are
the bottle.
Seriously bullying. Yeah, and now he's got the bottle to regen up a little bit further. So this lane, this kind of sucks, and you are sort of...
He's dead again, maybe.
Is he going to go down? Stun comes through. Divine Llama does not have the flame break, and no Firefly up
right
dive,
now. But
I think they've got it.
Right-clicked.
Yep, A's dead. One more. Divine Llama able to get the kill, and this becomes even more questionable now. I mean, A, regardless of who else was in the lane with him, is probably still dead in that scenario, but as you were sort of mentioning before, Mariano has chosen this lane. He has chosen to go up against the Batrider as a Timbersaw, and on the other side of the map, I suppose you're getting a little bit more for Parker in terms of farm, but it still just feels like unnecessary amounts of pain that they're enduring right now with that setup.
And they're pinging on 1437. Oh, if he made the dive underneath tower, KXY's game would just be ruined, because Papa Tootie, again, individual skill. He makes a little nice nifty glyph play, forces out a little bit more regen, having to renuke the wave on the puck. Of course, he will be back to that mid lane pretty soon here, but KXY, he doesn't know, but oh, 1437 misplayed. Okay, now they know, but
okay, yeah. The
creeps are stacked up pretty heavily up here into the puck, even though the puck is 1 creep away from hitting that level 6.
And Michael and A, they want in. They're looking for the fight here, but they go too soon. There's still no Dream Coil. Jumping the gun, and now they're going to pay for it. Michael will be chunked down. One more hit. Nope, they don't get it. Now KXY is in there with the Dream Coil. Parker's going to make his way over as well, and I think they can salvage this one. Papa Tootie able to get out with the Ghost Walk, but still taking DOT from that Arcane Curse. They're going to lock him down. A in with the glaive, able to get that kill, so it looked for a moment like Infamous had sort of messed up the timing, and they still do, but now Yuma wants in. Cookie pushes him forward. Chrono will be deployed. Can they get Parker down here? They need a little bit more damage. Wow, that really? No damage. Pandago doesn't have the Scatter Blast either, so he wasn't really able to contribute, and that's a bit of a bust. 1437 now. Okay, at least he's going to be able to TP out as KXY can't finish him off and can't cancel that TP, but what in the world was that fight? A lot being thrown out there, and Very little. I mean, Papa Tutti does die, so if you're Infamous, you do get the kill, and that is going to be a little bit of stolen in for A, but felt like both teams had more opportunities in that fight, or should have had more opportunities, and weren't really able to capitalize.
And that is sort of the sad thing with this DK, where maybe if you were a Grimstroke, maybe if you're a Rubik, you can at least put a little bit of damage into that Chronosphere. So if Yuma isn't getting the bashes, and he got none onto Parker there, it just doesn't matter. And you use that Chrono, it isn't the worst case scenario. You basically used it off cooldown, you just hit level 6. And now they are looking for Parker.
He's gonna
Mariano's
tick
just
down.
getting solo killed.
Michael, though, coming in with the toss into the Avalanche. A's going to hit him up with the last sword. Is that enough damage? I don't think
he's
so.
alive.
Bottle and Fountain
Super
Region
sick.
will keep him up. Meanwhile, they're still hunting for Parker, as you were sort of mentioning before. Parker doesn't have any mana. Oh, okay. Cookie will not connect, but I don't think the TA is getting out of this one. 1437's got to catch up. Dragon Tail stun comes through, and Parker will be finished off. So, 2 kills across the map. D2 Hustlers starting to get themselves going even further. 3K net worth lead all of 8 minutes in.
And really, it's just the small plays in KXY. He does have Chrono. He will be able to get aggressive again. But now you've got Papa Tutti making his own plays. Ooh, just able to get that Arcane Rune. Feels pretty good. And we'll have to see what KXY is able to do with this Arcane Rune, because as of now, he really doesn't have a playmaker on his team. While Mariano is now level 6, it feels like he needs that Disable to come in. He's just the damage. He needs his teammates to sort of help him out in that department. And we haven't seen Michael really able to get aggressive either. There's been so much walking around the map. He's only level 4, and we're moving towards the stacks.
This is a very bold play. They just straight up push up the ramp. Michael going to lock down 3 of those heroes, though, with the Avalanche, which means all of a sudden, 1437, he's kind of by himself here, but he's buying so much time. He's getting himself out while A is actually dropping low. Divine Llama, not quite able to bring him down, though, actually. They need maybe one more hit. They won't get it. So Divine Llama will die. Michael does trade himself out, but that is a fantastic trade so far, as 1437 is still dancing in this west side jungle, but it looks like eventually they will bring him down.
And really, this is sort of the big misplay, is he was able to get level 6 on the TA. You march into his own territory, you want to sort of contend with these stacks, but you end up dying to the traps. And we keep seeing teams who, when they have to end up playing versus the safe lane TA, you do not want to go into her territory without the sentries. If you lose the sentry war, then this happens. You get slowed up, you're not high level or high enough level, you don't have the items, and I think Mariano will be going down in the top lane to the lasso, but at least Parker is just able to farm in relative peace right now.
Yeah, he took the stack on both of those camps, so he is getting himself into a solid spot right now. It is worth noting, though, with that kill onto Mariano, Papa Tutti was the one to snipe it out with that Sunstrike. So we've talked about this a couple of times. The last few games we've seen the Invoker, Papa Tutti tends to try and fight his way out of most situations as opposed to just straight up farming. So prioritizing kills on him, he's sitting at 3-1 right now, and I think that's going to be the key for them. Papa Tutti just seems to be so averse to farming that you have to try and get him involved in other
Oh, Divine Llama. He got
Otherwise-
another free one.
Yeah,
And he's sitting in this one broken spot where there's nothing you can do. It was a nice attempt. Ooh, he was 55 HP there, but it doesn't matter. Not enough gas in the tank for Mariano.
Got to give him credit for the attempt, but yeah, at the end of the day, the Bat able to get himself out of that one. But, well, I don't know. You lose the Silencer, that's not going to really hurt you quite as badly as any other hero. 240 gold to D2 Hustlers is not really backbreaking right now, but Divine Llama is really getting himself going. We were talking about that for Papa Tutti, starting to build up some speed. 4-1 and 5 for that Bat. He's got himself the boots of travel, and progress has begun on the BKB. So this is a situation where D2 Hustlers are really going to start looking for more and more of these fights as this game goes on. And Infamous, they've got to be prepared to handle it, but they do have level 6 on the Silencer now, so that global is available. That is going to open up some more possibilities for them, and it's something D2 Hustlers have to be insanely sort of worried about.
Parker, he's got... Oh,
there it is.
nice.
The global will come out into the Dream Coil, into the Avalanche, and Yuma, he's just going to get turned around here. He's immediately taken down. Mariano gets a kill. Now Michael in for the toss. He's going to throw Papa Tutti away from himself, but I don't think that's going to be enough. It should still kill the Tiny. No, Michael's able to get away, so he's going to be just fine in KXY. He wants to push back in. DD up for another second or two, but they haven't found any kills just yet. Devi, he's holding it. Will he go in for it? Not just yet, and they won't actually need it. Mariano taken down by Papa Tutti instead, and at this point, Infamous are starting to overextend a little bit as A, again, too far forward. The Silencer really has got to sort of cool it here as he is going to be taken down, and now Michael stunned up and finished off as well. Papa Tutti with the triple kill in the fight, and
Does he get
Infamous...
the cold? Oh, doesn't have it.
Few seconds left on that cooldown, so KXY is able to TP out, but that's horrible. I mean, the Yuma kill is absolutely perfect. The perfect silence coming out from that silencer, but then they kind of botched the rest of it.
And now everybody, man, Pandago and 1437 are so good at these stacks. And Papa Tutti, for the first time, he has his Midas. He has it so soon. He hasn't greeted out for that Spirit Vessel. He's prioritizing himself. This is going to be at least a little bit more farmed Invoker than I think we're used to coming in from Papa Tutti, farming some of these stacks as well. And now you do see him at the 3-3-3 skill build, sort of Master of None at this point, but really, this is how he likes to play. He likes having access to all of these spells, and he's really making it work. There's a reason why teams ban out this hero so consistently versus this team.
Right. And that was actually kind of funny. In the draft, sort of talking about the Invoker, standard sort of build is to focus on that Quaswex quite a bit more, but Papa Tutti is willing to buck that trend, and so far it's working out. In fact, he's going to put a 4th point up into the Exort, so you mentioned it's his playstyle. He likes to be more aggressive. He likes to emphasize that damage more. Past couple of attempts, he hasn't been able to really get much out of that kind of play, but this time, he is really everywhere that his team needs him to be right now, as Pandago is going to be able to combine up forces with Yuma for a quick kill onto that silencer, and I don't know, he's just going to keep on getting bullied here. He really has to maintain
Papa
some
Tutti.
separation as Papa Tutti, yeah, jumped in onto the top lane, silenced up, hit by the Dream Coil, and between KXY and Parker, that's a relatively easy kill for them to secure. Just a bit out of position for Papa Tutti.
And again, you're in T8 town. You have to be a little bit careful, even though you're team captain. I'm guessing that's 1437 making that call. You have to say to yourself, wait a second, we need to get these sentries over here. We need to get a rotation in from Pandago. Otherwise, you're really just going into the meat grinder. And this TA, Parker, we've seen him carry before. We'll see him sort of carry again. He's still working towards that Deso. I think he's got one hammer out right now. And then you need to be concerned with the Roche. Those little kills will eventually add up to something.
And 1437, he's just charging his way mid. Okay. Something to be said for trying to take your opponent by surprise there, I suppose. And the KXY did sort of see it coming. 1437's charging in. There's really only one thing he could be trying to do there. So the Puck is able to jump away. The problem is 1437 used the Elder Dragon form to try that. So that's not really just a casual, maybe I can get a stun. That's a long cooldown for almost nothing.
Well, in 1437, he does use it to try and get somebody to respond to him mid. We see with that DK, that is the response. You need to give a little bit of respect to it. You try to get those guaranteed objectives, but they don't feel confident enough to go back top because, again, it's TA Town. You need to make a pretty hefty rotation if you do want to get those kills. And I think instead, they do want to find something with the Chrono and the Mortimer Kisses. But they've sort of airballed so far. Mariano's been stuck down here for quite a while. They've been getting levels, and everybody really is just sort of farming. I think we're going to see kind of a lull here up until 1437 gets that Blink Dagger. Then he can start making those solo plays. Then he can start sort of putting the fear into this Puck. Whereas right now, Infamous kind of know with their lineup, they need to wait for their next timing. They need to wait for a little bit more damage to come out from their items.
Yeah, they're not really in a great position to try and turn this around. Really, the only spell that they have in terms of teamfight control would be the Dream Coil and I guess the Global Silence as well. The problem with the Silence is it's good to get them onto one hero. As we saw before, they dropped that Global, they went directly in onto Yuma, and they were able to kill him off, but the lineup as it currently stands doesn't really have the means of using that Global Silence to just straight up take the whole team fight. So, as you were saying, they've got to sort of cool it, look for some items here. They are going to have to wait a little while as Pandago was the one who dropped out of the server here. So the Snapfire currently unavailable, which comes at a bit of an awkward time. Hustlers are trying to sort of make this rotation down to the bottom lane. They're looking for that Chronosphere play, but obviously you can't really do that without the Mortimer Kisses to follow it up. So we'll see if Pandago is able to get back in relatively soon here. Hopefully this is just a slight issue connection-wise and we can get back into it. But this rotation, I mean, who are they going to hit up? Mariano is nearby, but I don't think they actually know that he's here. Taking a look at their vision, they see nothing. They don't have vision up on that high ground. So the Timbersaw is there, and the Timber himself actually knows that Papa Tutti has just crossed over the river. So he probably suspects that something's going down here, and very likely going to be able to pull himself out. The only real thing I could think of at this point is that maybe he thinks it's only Papa Tutti and doesn't know about Yuma and Pandago rotating in as well.
Yeah, and up until that point, I don't think there really can be those heavy rotations because as soon as you see it, like we were sort of talking about with the silencer pick, you just immediately pop the global silence. It sort of breaks up that combo. Pandago doesn't really have a fantastic answer to that yet, and you don't really ever get a fantastic answer to it. There's nothing to stop. It's just the patience coming out from the silencer, trying to get that force out beforehand. Then you might see a little bit of the fight being sort of taken in that direction, but up until that point, we're just going to see sort of a farm fest.
Yeah. So, well, just gonna have to keep on waiting. We're seeing some circles, some scribbles being drawn all along the map as the players try and sort of keep themselves focused up here while we do wait. But looking outside of that sort of bot lane situation, KXY actually going for a bit of an interesting build here. He went for the Veil as his first item, looking for the Blink Dagger after that, so we're sort of eschewing any sort of Witchblade play for him, but with that Veil, the magic damage here from Infamous is going to be rather significantly boosted up, and you got a Puck, you got a Tiny, you've got the Silencer in there as well, so that magic damage could start stacking up in a way that D2 Hustlers could be ever so slightly taken by surprise by if they do get multiple heroes hit by that Veil. So maybe not standard for the Puck in this situation, but I could see the benefits if he can actually put it to work.
And really just, I think, looking at his team, man, is that Yuma again? I don't know how he does that. It looks so cool on the mini map.
Yeah,
I
there's
don't
got
know
to
if
be
that's like
some sort of
a
trick
clicker
to it.
or is like a macro or something. You know, I know macros are pretty taboo, but it is. I've only seen him do it. Maybe that's a old German secret, but uh, yeah, with the Veil, it does amplify your Tiny. I think it's just him looking at his own lineup, looking at his teammates' timings, and saying, okay, I need to take a step back. I'm not going to have that soul kill potential, especially with how far ahead this Papa 2D Invoker is sort of getting. So I need to help my teammates get that damage in to kill him off. Because otherwise, you still are pretty much struggling to find this Blink Dagger on Michael. He hasn't really had a lane to go to as of yet.
Yeah, only about halfway there, but as you said, being halfway there is kind of impressive considering his net worth is just so far down as, yeah, top lane. What's going on here? The lasso in on the
baiting
Parker.
each other here. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's not really going to do what they wanted it to, but now Pantago gets himself cut out in that bottom or
nice
south
TP
side jungle.
cancel.
Did they get it? Yes, they did. Michael's in there. He gets the avalanche into the top.
Oh,
Oh,
no. KXY.
That's going to hurt. Yuma's able to walk away. They do get the first kill at least, but
1437.
is he caught out mid? Yes, he is. Chakram's going to sort of block off his escape, and yeah, there's no way out there. Mariano able to find the kill, so Infamous, at the end of the day, sure, it's just kind of the two supports, but those are two pretty big kills. It would have been nicer if they'd have actually been able to get in onto Yuma, but now, Parker, now you've got to get away. Global Silence, though, will come through. That's going to prevent a lot of this sort of follow-up, but Parker is still dropping pretty rapidly. Tornado comes out into the Meteor. Can Parker withstand this? Oh, hold on. No, he can't. Okay. Pandago in there with the Scatter Blast. Nice play, but to buy Llama. There's the Silence into the Veil. Oh, God, he's just blown up. That's the power of the Veil. That's part of the reason why the Puck got it, as you said, sort of buffing up his teammates and really letting them get in there for that trade-off. So Parker does go down, and they do have to commit the global, but they're at least able to get some sort of return kill with the play onto the bat.
And really just perfect from Papa 2D, knowing if he does get the cold snap down before that global silence comes through, he can't immediately TP, he can't get out of that situation, just super easy. And while you do lose Divine Llama, of course you are shutting down that TA. Of course TA is much easier to recover on than that Bat Rider, but he's coming up on his BKB, then you don't have to worry about that global silence, or at least not if you're patient enough, if you can sort of wait it out.
Some big items now on the Infamous side. KXY finally getting that Blink Dagger online, while the Deso was finished up by the Templar Assassin. So mobility, damage coming out from those two main cores. So we'll see what it is they can really sort of do with that. They've been, to a certain extent, sort of waiting for this moment for quite a while. You see them still lagging behind in terms of the kill count, but some of that has been by design. They realized their lineup wasn't exactly going to be able to do more than find the occasional pick play. So they tried to play back, they tried to slow down the tempo a little bit. Now that they've got these bigger items, this could be where they try to start turning things around a little bit more for themselves in terms of the aggression.
And really, Parker, once he gets this Blink Dagger, he will be able to get slightly more aggressive, but he needs, I think, an item like the Orchid, like the Hex, and something a little bit more to lock down whoever he decides to stick onto, because really, up until the Tiny gets that Blink Dagger, you don't have that hero on the Infamous side, and we actually see them making some moves with 1437's Blink Dagger, and I think...
Devi gets jumped in
he
onto the
missed
top
toss.
lane.
I
They
think
get
they
him
still
up with the
got him,
Dream
though.
Coil, but yeah, the toss was off the mark, but this should still
Oh,
be
they
a
missed the trap,
kill.
too. Yeah, I think they got him, but a little bit sloppy.
Okay, yeah. Not the cleanest play there, and the Bat was able to buy out for that BKB before he went down, but if you're Infamous, you get the kill. That's going to be the most important thing for them. And meanwhile, Mariano sort of trying to rally the troops in the middle lane. That tier 1 tower is already going down. The global comes through, but there's not any lockdown to follow it up, so that's not quite what they wanted. Now Mariano's in some trouble. He's going to get hit up by the stun into the meteor, but able to temper chain himself away. But at this point, his HP is so low, he needs some time to recover. But it doesn't look like D2 Hustlers will go any further forward than that. So they got what they wanted. They pick off the tower. They try onto the Timber, but when it's clear they're not going to get that kill immediately, they don't want to overextend.
And probably a little bit of communication on the Hustler's side. I think after they already used the Meteor, Yuma knows they don't have enough damage to dump into it for that Timbersaw kill. Also got sort of body blocked up in that creep wave, so doesn't want to risk wasting his Chronosphere, so they just back up, reset. They were trying for something a lot cooler there on the Infamous side. If they were able to get on top of Yuma just a little bit before he was able to get that time walk off, maybe the Void is a little bit under threat, but I think it almost would have worked against them because he does have that Manta style. He would have just been able to pop it off and then immediately chrono 2-3 heroes, so maybe a blessing in disguise.
They're trying to take
Devi
Roche.
Llama, he had to use his BKB too. They popped the coil, they traded it, but... Oh, did they not know about it because they made the play in the Bat?
I don't think they saw it. I think they just got Devi Llama out and didn't really check for the pit, so Infamous are going to be able to sneak this one, as Parker should just get it done really by himself. The Chakram will help, but he's the only one in the pit, and they walk away with the Aegis.
And just super important as well, getting that up on the TA when you're playing versus the Void. If the Void team does not have the Aegis, then really Parker's going to be able to go wild, and if he can sit out and in front, we've seen him cause chaos, we've seen him been able to sort of 1v9 kill a bunch of these heroes, and we know how good TA is versus Invoker. And again, very low armor. You've got 9 armor on Papa Tootie just coming from the urn, really, and that's it. Once he has this Aghanim Scepter, the Cataclysm will definitely start to put in some work with Max Exhort, I think, in one level here as well. And then you do have that combo. You do have a terrifying Chrono, but really, we've only seen Yuma use the Chrono once. We haven't had an opportunity for this Void to get those guaranteed pick-off plays. We haven't seen him really use it.
5-man smoke in onto Devi Llama. They hit him up with the Avalanche into the toss, and that is just a quick and easy kill as Parker will get the credit for it, and now Infamous, they want to surge in. They're looking for that tier 1 tower mid. D2 Hustlers are not in a position right now to defend it. So that tower will be taken away. The Glyph only going to slow this down and not going to be able to actually prevent it from being finished off.
Yeah, and I really don't know what's going on. It feels like now they're going to start to lose a lot of their momentum. It's really just that Roshan play that really feels unfortunate, that now Infamous get a lot more space to work with. You see the Tiny finishing up his Blink, almost working on the Dagon on the Puck, a very different Puck than we've seen previously, just because he knows he needs that magic burst. They've got pretty high armor, except for the Invoker, and yeah, 1437. Yep, goodbye.
Oof. Parker just sitting there waiting for it. He will be able to get the Meld Strike down, and 1437 will fall. The rest of D2 Hustlers, though, sort of huddling around the tier 2 tower. They're looking to put together some sort of defense, waiting to see if Infamous will really challenge them any further. They've gotten a couple of kills. They took the tier 1 tower, but they still have the Aegis, but another push this far forward would start to get a little bit risky for them. Parker, as of right now, I don't really think he wants to take that risk. He's just going to sort of back off and lay down these traps, take these camps once they're back up, and just try to push his way towards that next big item. The question is, what exactly will that item be? He got himself the Blink Dagger, he's picked up that shard, so is it just going to be something like the BKB to really put him over the top in these fights, or does he look for maybe further damage?
And this is where you have to be careful if you're D2 Hustlers, because while you do have that shard on the TA, if they come into the territory, if they get spotted out, I just think Yuma needs to find something. He needs to find anything chrono-wise. Otherwise, I just don't think Infamous care. And they're actually going to counter smoke. They're going to go immediately into them. And really, after Parker's Aegis, I think you could just choose to either get the BKB, you could see him finish the Hurricane Pike, you could see him just go straight for the Daedalus, because I think as soon as you get that burst damage out, Infamous just need to kill those heroes inside the coil. If the coil doesn't result in 1 or 2 deaths, then it gets a little bit hairy. We'll snap the coil. Nice play.
Yeah, he's straight up dead here. 1437 will buy an extra second or 2 of life, but he will still be taken down. Parker going to be getting the kill once again. So this TA, well, already the top net worth hero in the game and starting to build up even more with some of these kills. 4, 3, and 5 is maybe not quite the stat line we saw from him the last time around in this TA, but he is starting to outpace some of those opposing heroes. And if you're D2 Hustlers, you got to be sort of careful of this. The Faceless Void can farm, and he is going to be stronger the later this game goes on, but as of right now, immediately approaching that mid-game position, there's questions about his ability to really go toe-to-toe with the likes of the TA.
And we're seeing them getting sort of bullied off of their towers, and of course this is allotting a lot of time to the Infamous lineup, but they have Puck, they have Silencer, their team fight isn't shabby in themselves, and actually the Kisses are just being there to push them off the wave. So they are really not fighting, they just want to avoid whatever, and Divine Llama, he has a Blink Dagger, he could look for a pick here, possibly on a Mariano, but...
Is there any follow-up, though? He's not going to pop the Global. Okay, there it is, so... Global Silence will be used. Parker, though, is going to lose the Aegis, but now this one feels a little bit broken up. But Michael, okay, in with the Avalanche. They get the TA back up. Will there be any sort of a continuation of the fight? Right now, it looks like no, but Michael? Okay. Too far forward on that one as the Tiny, I don't know what he was looking for. He didn't have the Toss or the Avalanche there, and now A actually gets caught out as well. Both of the supports just getting a little bit too far forward as they will be punished for it, and if you're D2 Hustlers, you got the Aegis out of the hands of Parker, you took down both of the supports, and you kept your tier 2 tower alive.
Yeah, the successful defense, and it felt quite awkward because both teams really weren't expending too much resource-wise up until Parker just decided to sort of suicide on that tower. And then A, again, it feels like his globals have just been a little slow this game. Like, he hasn't been able to make the split-second decision, get the global off right before that Batrider blinks in, or right before 1437 gets that DK stun off. And while it was just on the Aegis, you did just lose supports, you didn't lose any core heroes. Infamous need to sort of sharpen up. I don't think they can let this happen 1 or 2 more times because, again, Yuma hasn't used that Chrono, and in these situations, if he's not forced to use the Chrono, they can always just reset and use it on you another time, and oh, a big fight.
Jump in the west side jungle, KXY able to get the Dream Coil down on the 2. They take down Pandago first. Pandago, okay, quick to buy back. He'll TP onto the outpost, look to get across the river to rejoin his teammate. A, again, too far forward. How many times is he going to get caught out there? That's his 8th death now. And I'm really not entirely sure why he keeps doing that. He had the Force Staff even, so should have been able to sort of fall back in time, but just doesn't make the move and will get picked off. So it's Silencer for the Snapfire right now. Pandago, though, as we mentioned, it did commit the buyback, so he's back in. Devi?
Oh, Parker.
Parker's able to dodge it out, but now the stun comes through into that lasso again, and the TA doesn't have the Aegis this time to sort of bail herself out, so she's just straight up dead.
Yeah, and it's just sticking around. You don't have coil, your Puck isn't even spamming the orbs, you don't have any vision there, A just died there. It feels like Infamous are, again, it feels a little bit sloppy. It feels like they're not making those decisions fast enough, whereas D2 Hustlers are sort of, it feels terrible to say, but they're walking towards a victory as, again, this Faceless Void, if you're not put under pressure, if you're not punishing the time he doesn't have Chronosphere, you're just going to lose. You can't really beat him late game. There's so many heroes that don't beat him late game, and yeah, they'd go for the Yules, but it's just not working.
Okay, there's the Dream Coil into the Global Silence. This time the timing's a little bit better, and Faceless may actually be taken down here. Can Yuma get off the time walk? Yes, he can. He's going to be able to get himself away. Hustlers, though, at this stage, are just sort of looking to regroup. Pandago, though, may not be making it out of here. He is going to get hit up by that curse, but turns around for the Cookie Stun. 1437 in as well with the Dragon Tail, so they're going to try and go in onto the Timber, but Mariano's pretty damn tanky here. This isn't going to go the way that they want it to, as 3 heroes, 4 Hustlers have already gone down. Divine Llama is into the fight. He's trying to go onto A, but even if he gets that kill, I don't think that's really worth it, especially considering he really doesn't have any means now to get himself out. He could pop the BKB and look for the TP, but while he does so, his teammate is going to get jumped in on. Papa Tootie getting out, though, with that Ghost Walk, so he's okay for now, and he's actually going to live. He will be just fine. Meanwhile, Divine Llama with the DOT actually ticks down Michael, so a late double kill coming out for the Bat as he is able to pick off both of those supports. The problem is the losses that they sustain on their own side are going to be well more valuable for Infamous.
Yeah, and I really feel like they could have just let Pandago die, blink out. Instead, he thought he got the cookie stun onto the puck, so 1437 went for the follow-up stun. Instead, they both get Waning Rifted, they get immediately turned on, and I believe the Void somehow got last worded, so he wasn't able to get any more time walks off, and he had already used his mantis to survive the coil. So D2 Hustlers, again, it's this slow decision making that we're sort of seeing from both teams, where they're not able to make that immediate back or that immediate jump call. And of course, they get punished because Infamous, they have the damage. If you sit there and tank all of their spells, they're going to kill you. That is something that they need to worry about. Once Void has that Scotty, once he has that Satanic BKB Ags, then we're going to see him be in that full stride that we keep seeing these Voids get to. But you still have to be cautious in this sort of early mid-game phase.
And D2 Hustlers now going to be grouping up for the smoke play. They didn't quite include Papatuti in that one, but he's got the Ghost Walk, so he's still going to be able to sort of push along with them as they are looking to maneuver their way onto their opponent's side of the map, getting into that west side jungle right now.
Ooh, Devi.
And they get onto a Mariano, though he's got the Lotus Orb on him, so any sort of initiation here from Devi would immediately sort of backfire. So no jump in just yet, but if you're Hustlers, this gets you into the west side jungle. That's a little bit of map control, at least temporarily, going their way, but it's not exactly what you wanted a 4-man smoke for in the first place.
And the scan's really nicely placed as well, because they see the Batrider actually walk out of the border and it still goes red, so they know that he's got a lot of friends behind him. So instead, they make the split push play, and this is exactly what they should be doing. They should be getting a little bit more farm. We see Andisk being built up on that puck now. I think we see Parker now looking for that Hex. He has a BKB himself, and yeah, with the Roche up, they've got to get there pretty fast here, but this is still a very scary fight for them to take. There's no BKB on Papatuti if they do find the Invoker.
And they get themselves into position in time. They're just inching their way forward. They've got the global silence if they do want to make the call. So here it comes. Mariano pushing in. Yuma very wisely jumping out of the pit there as quickly as he can. Now Devi, he wants in for the lasso, and he gets it. They got the TA. Where's the global? They need to try and cancel out that Chronosphere, but it does come down in time. That's going to be the Cataclysm out from Papatuti, and it just seems to be a running theme here. He's a little bit too slow. He's trying to, I guess, wait for the right moment, but the moment passed. He needed it early. Without that global silence, the Chronosphere is just perfectly deployed, and Infamous are just going to sort of fall apart here. They've lost 2 heroes, and control of the Roche Pit is squarely in the hands of D2 Hustlers now.
And really, the big misstep for that team is they walked over towards this area where they had that high ground vision. They have the ward up on the hill. They had the vision of the TA on the low ground from the ramp. They should have just stayed down here in this other area on the sort of slight high ground. Then D2 Hustlers struggle to sort of get up to that secondary high ground, and instead they sort of give away the bag. And oh, mid, they got him. KXY. Okay, thankfully, he's got that item.
Disc will save him for now, so he's going to be able to jump away. But while he was sort of dancing his way out of that gank, Roshan was taken. Yuma was able to get the
somebody
Aegis.
sniped it out. Was that
Wait.
Mariano? Or, yeah, somebody on the Radiant team actually killed the Roche. Range.
I have to assume it was Mariano. Maybe Michael got in there for the Avalanche, but either way, yeah. The Infamous are at least going to be able to salvage the gold for killing off Roshan, but the Aegis, the Cheese, and the Aghanim Shard all ended up going into D2 Hustler's hands still, so that is going to be the real sort of tactical advantage for them. As Papatuti, he's sort of doing some scouting here, and he is going to spot out Michael. Can he get the kill, though? It's not going to be very easy for him, and he's not even really going to try for it. The second he sees that there's other Infamous heroes, it's probably not worth trying to go in for just that support. Devi Lama, though, excuse me, that's not Devi Lama, that's 1437, jumping in onto the puck, gets him down with the silence, but silence, wow, the stun, Dragon Tail, I am struggling at this point, but either way, it's not going to be enough for the kill. KXY, though, hanging out in the area, no, okay. Tries for it, Waning Rift comes in, he's going to do a little bit of damage, but jumps away before things get too serious, as the Cataclysm just kind of popped casually there, alright.
Yeah, they're sort of diving. D2 Hustlers are definitely forcing things a little bit right now, unable to find anything or get onto really any of these towers. DK form expires as well. The creep waves are not in the best spot. They might be able to go in on mid, but that's about it. Feels a little bit awkward right now.
Yeah, just kind of D2 Hustlers wandering their way around. They see someone, they're like, maybe we can go on him, but they can't actually close the gap, so then they shift in a different direction, and it's about 2 or 3 times there where they just sort of switch things up to very little success. So I don't know. Feels like they need to sort of, at this point, maybe pull back, regroup, refocus, and really try to determine what it is that they want objective-wise. Do they want the kills? Are they looking for towers? Either way, they've got to try and make some decisions as Mariano's going to get jumped in on. Papa Tootie waiting for the Lotus to wear off, but he is going to go in with the Tornado. Can they actually get this? Okay. 1437 in with the stun. The Meteor comes through as well. Yuma has moved into position, so I do believe they're going to be able to find this one. It's going to take a lot of effort, but they do get it. So Mariano taken down.
Space created. It's more time that D2 Hustlers are spending on their side of the map instead of the enemy side of the map. They haven't been able to get any of their tier 2 towers just yet. Bottom and top are both sitting at half HP and a little bit less than half. But still, it feels like now D2 Hustlers are going to start making the movements to get control of 80% of the map, as Infamous sort of need to wait out this Aegis. They really can't expend their spells twice. They really don't have that much in the tank, so we're really just sort of boiling down to a waiting game at this point.
The D2 Hustlers, though, they don't really want to wait. We do see them trying to push their way forward, getting it onto that tier 2 tower, so their opponents may want to wait out the Aegis, but they're hoping to put it to some further use. As they get through the tier 2 top, Yuma, he's eyeballing the tier 3 as well. But over in the middle lane, what is this? 1437 in with a stun onto the Templar Assassin. Parker hit up by the lasso here as well, and Yuma, he's got to come in for the physical damage. Do they deploy the Chrono? They won't get to. The Silence comes in first, but Manta will be able to dodge it, so Yuma could still throw this Chrono out, but they don't actually need it to get the kill onto Parker, which means Yuma could hold it now to try and go in onto KXY. Will he be able to drop down that Chronosphere? No, he's silenced up first, but his teammates are sort of coming in to his aid, but the middle lane is really not the place where they want to go. There's still a tier 2 standing in this lane. So Yuma shifts his focus back up top. Papa Tootie's coming over here to help him out. The Alacrity is going to be deployed in onto that Faceless, and they're still trying for this. A KXY, though. Nice snipe on the back line. He and Michael get in onto 1437. Now, though, they need to get themselves out, and that's going to be a little bit more complicated. Michael is dropping low. He will tick down to the DOT, and this is really turning into one strange fight as Yuma... Is he going all the way in for this? Yeah, he is. A is not going to be able to survive. Wow. That felt a little rude, but you want to get the Silencer out of there. He was going to presumably be able to do a little bit of extra damage, but now he's dead. Michael, though, is going to buy back. By the time he's back into the fight, however, the tier 3 tower is already gone, and Yuma just doesn't care. Not going to use the Chrono just yet, but he is pushing his way in. Michael's just straight up gone, and A, he's dead as well. Double kill for Yuma. What is going on here? If you're Infamous, just back off at this stage. If you're not going to fight, then leave, right? I mean, this is getting so strange for them. As Mariano going to get slowed up, he'll Timber Chain his way back over. As, wait, Papa Tootie actually picked off. Okay, KXY in there with the Dagon will be able to find the kill. But I don't even think that kill is going to be enough. Yuma is still the problem, and he continues to push his way onto that melee racks, as they'll simply grab the objective and leave as the Aegis actually times out. That's perfectly timed.
Yeah, it's incredibly clean from D2 Hustlers. Aside from Papa Tootie dying with Black King Bar and Cheese, that feels a little bit awkward, but they're waiting right now. They're baiting, and they got him again.
Oh, the Divine Llama Hex, or not the Hex, the Lasso rather, will connect onto the TA. They've got the follow-up Cookie stun, and Parker's gone. They need his buyback, really. They can't hold this without him. They've got to try and get him back into the fight, but Hustlers... Oh, okay, Yuma jumped onto KXY for a moment, but the reverse time lock gets him right back out. So he's not quite looking for the full engage, but he does have the Chronosphere still. He has yet to deploy it. And if you're Infamous, you got to be careful here. If you get caught in that Chrono, that could very well be the end. The end of the game, as they are going to lose the puck. Actually, well, not dead just yet. Never mind. He's stunned up and taken down. So KXY will fall. No buyback available, but...
Got Yuma, maybe? Nope.
Yeah, the time lock gets him away. Parker's back into the fight here, but they've got to find some kills. They do get in onto 1437, though, so that's at least going to be one. And now Yuma, he just got the BKB delivered out to him, so he tries to turn back around. That's not quite going to work out the way he wants, and now Pandago may be in some trouble. But Papa Tootie in on the backline. He's looking to take down Michael, needs a little bit more damage to finish that one off, and he does get the kill. So A and Michael dead again. Still no buybacks available. And yeah, Parker was quick to get himself out of that one, but that leaves Mariano outside of the base with no backup. He'll Timber Chain his way back in. 1437, though, buying back for D2 Hustlers, but he has to TP onto the north side outpost, so he's really not back into the fight just yet. But Yuma, I mean, he really does want to try for this, but he's got such little HP, it feels so risky for him. But Papa Tootie's just fine. He is sitting on quite a bit of HP. In fact, he might just pass the cheese over to Yuma. Yeah, passing the cheese over. Yuma now has it in his hands. He's going to try and wait as long as possible, though, before he actually eats it. maybe they could bait in someone like Parker or Mariano, but you have to assume these Infamous heroes have checked Yuma's inventory and they now know that the cheese is in hand. So I don't think they're really going to get baited into that. But at the end of the day, D2 Hustlers back off, having claimed quite a bit there. Multiple buybacks expended. They get themselves the top lane of racks. They get through the tier 3 tower mid, and they push that net worth lead to 13,000.
And now no supports or Parker have their buyback. If they get this TA one more time, and not having buybacks versus Void, it really feels like that is when the game starts to come to a close here, as Yuma is now going to queue up that nullifier, so that way there's really going to be no answer for KXY to survive. That was his first death of the game. It's really the only death that mattered, and after all that fighting occurred, they knew that the puck didn't have buyback, but they didn't have enough sentries. Pandago was still respawning. He was a little bit far away, so they don't want to sort of feed versus the traps. They don't want to get into a situation where maybe they get double silence, maybe Parker is able to put in the DPS, and now Parker does have a Daedalus, and that is an opportunity where maybe if they get the right initiation, they can kill somebody in a toss combo, maybe they can get somebody on the back lines, but the pecking order just needs to be so right, and Yuma, they're not set up here. They've got vision. They know that the heroes are not here. This is quite problematic for your buildings.
He had DD, Solar Crest, and Alacrity on him, so that tier 3 tower melts pretty quickly. Mariano did hit him up, though, with the Wind Waker, so that is going to purge quite a bit of that away, but it doesn't actually stop the push. As Yuma's making his way forward, melee Rax under attack. Alacrity will be able to deploy it again, so Yuma's just going to tear his way through it. Rax taken down, and now, okay.
Nice. Perfect.
Good setup from Michael as they do toss Yuma out of position. He does have a buyback, but at this point, I don't really think D2 Hustlers want to use it. They're just going to try and fall back as 1437 will pop that horn. Is that enough to get him away for now, though? I don't really think so. He's just too slow. Not going to be able to make it out. Infamous will search for it again, but Divine Llama is in there with the lasso. They're going to try and lock this one down, but I don't think that's going to be enough. 1437 will still fall, and the Bat just used his BKB to TP home after committing for the lasso.
And just perfect spell usage. They had the tossback, they had the immediate Dream Coil, but really they were none the wiser on the D2 Hustlers side, and it's that level of execution that Infamous need to keep going, because at this point, those are the plays they need to make. They need to keep the ball rolling now, keep them disjointed. If they can find more pickoffs right now, Roshan is going to respawn in 1 minute and 30 seconds, but they need to keep the feed going. If they can't keep the train coming, D2 Hustlers, they're just going to reset, they're going to come back, they're going to do exactly the same, except they're going to be a little bit more ready this time. And Infamous, they can't handle that. They can't handle another push where this Void is able to get that Aegis, and I think this Roshan is really where we're going to see the game reset again.
Papatuti just hanging out in that top lane for a little while, doing a little bit of extra scouting and pushing. He will eventually TP himself away, and Infamous, you see them, they're trying to make the most of this time. They're pushing into both the north and west side jungles, trying to find as much farm as they can, occasionally sort of taking a look around for opposing heroes as well, just in case there's some sort of opening on that front, but they're not really going to be able to find it right now, so really the next best thing is to try and set up for Roshan, but it's still 40 seconds away, so there's plenty of time for D2 Hustlers to get the lineup back up and running and then move themselves into position to contest this. So if you're Infamous, it's a chance to maybe try to reset, but as you were saying, they don't want the full reset. They would like to obviously regroup so they can continue to be aggressive, but you don't want to give this much time over to D2 Hustlers because then things like this can happen. Full 5-man smoke out from the Hustlers side. They're looking to take the initiative themselves. They want to push in for the fight. Will they be able to find anyone? KXY, he's hanging out nearby under the cover of that Invis rune, but they're not actually able to spot him out, and so the push forward will continue. D2 Hustlers into the west side jungle. That's not good. They get directly onto Mariano. And he's dead. Sunstrike comes through. Papatuti finds a kill. Mariano's gone. He does have a buyback available, but now control of the pit is going to be very much questionable as Parker, can he get away? He's got a BKB. He is going to pop it. Global will be deployed here as well, so the TA is going to look to TP out, but there's the Chrono. Yuma locks it down. And this Templar Assassin, not dead yet, but already down to half HP, locked down continuously, and he's gone. That's 2 minutes on the sidelines here as D2 Hustlers, they might just be ready to sort of finish this one off. They have control now around that Roche pit area, and you look at the lineup for Infamous, they're so spread out. The Tiny is up in the top lane. KXY is farming in the east side jungle, so they're sort of scattered to the winds here. They're not in a position to immediately contest if D2 Hustlers then try to take Roshan.
And I think as soon as they see that the Ags is in the Roche, they're going to immediately get it on that Faceless Void. That'll be really the world ender. And because of that positional advantage that Infamous tried to hold, they lost the bottom racks for free. So there's only one more objective really for D2 Hustlers to go. And once you get this Aghanim Scepter on the Void, he's just going to be so non-committal. It's going to be the Void we keep on seeing. And actually, oh, KXY got his Andis popped.
Trying to jump away, but he jumps
Oh,
right into
the
Yuma.
Void.
He's gone. KXY is dead. He's dead for 90, and now Michael, he tried to sort of sneak in there, but Roche wasn't low enough for that play to actually work. Now he's dead as well, and Infamous at this point, I don't even think...
We just see the
yeah,
GG.
I don't even think they were going to get a fight. GG called.
Void wins another one. Yet again, we see this Faceless Void sort of waltz into a position where nobody's able to kill them. They think that they can. They have the puck. They feel confident in their damage. They had that one sick execution on the bottom to kill Yuma. But aside from that, Infamous just weren't playing well enough. It's sort of a sad way to go out, to be honest. And I think the Silencer pick really fell short. I really don't think it was able to accomplish what it was meant to in that draft.
Yeah, it's such a weird situation. The Silencer obviously had power in theory, but in a lot of those situations we saw A was just sort of trying to wait too long, or in some instances just is really not on point in general in terms of actually throwing that ability out there. The global silences came too late, and the ones that were on time were not nearly impactful enough. D2 Hustlers in a lot of situations just pretty much ignored it.
Yeah, and there's not much to say other than that. It felt like Infamous, they definitely had their shot. They definitely had their time in the sun. Looking at the win probability, they don't really think they had their time in the sun, but I think really just after that Yuma kill, it brought it back to a 50% win probability. And we keep seeing that sort of with these big carry players, you get those 1, 2, 3 kills on them. You can get so much off of your map with how much really the lineups invest in their carries. But Infamous, if their execution was just a little bit better, maybe we would have seen it. I just don't think there were very standout performances coming in from Michael or KXY.
Yeah, a situation where, I don't know, they were not too bad. Some interesting choices in terms of the draft, as we mentioned with the Silencer, but yeah, at the end of the day, it came down to the execution, and they just really didn't seem to get the game plan going for them down the stretch there. So D2 Hustlers able to get the win. That is their 3rd straight victory on the day here. So they are looking for an opportunity to just clean sweep here on day 5. They've won 3 straight, and they've got an opportunity for 4, as they will be facing off against Infamous once again in presumably just a couple of minutes here. So we are going to be jumping into a break, but when we return, D2 Hustlers pursuing the perfect 4-0 record on the day as they will face off against Infamous one more time.